To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, a story that still speaks truth.
First Impressions. A quiet book with a loud heart. You don't expect a life-changing story to begin so quietly. To Kill a Mockingbird opens in a small southern town during the Great Depression. There are porches, neighbors, dusty roads, and the heat of long summers. Nothing seems urgent at first, but beneath that calm surface is a deep and painful undercurrent of injustice, and Harper Lee lets you feel it build. The title feels strange until you read the story. Then it becomes hauntingly beautiful. Killing a mockingbird, something innocent, harmless, is a symbol you won't forget. Told through a child's eyes, Scout Finch's unique voice. The entire novel is seen through the eyes of Scout, a young girl growing up in Macomb, Alabama. Her voice is sharp, honest, and sometimes hilariously blunt. She doesn't always understand the grown-up world, and that's what makes her the perfect narrator. Through her, we see the confusion, the unfairness, and sometimes the absurdity of adult behavior, especially when it comes to race, class, and justice. Scout's journey isn't just about growing up, it's about waking up to a world that's far more complex and often more cruel than a child should have to understand. Atticus Finch, a quiet hero for the ages. If you ask people who their favorite literary character is, many will say Atticus Finch. And not because he's dramatic or exciting, but because he's good, genuinely good. A widowed father, a small-town lawyer, and someone who stands up for what's right, even when he knows he's likely to lose.
When Atticus agrees to defend Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman, he knows the cost. He does it anyway. He shows us what moral courage looks like. Not loud, not flashy, but steady and unwavering. He teaches his children and us that doing the right thing is worth it, even when no one else agrees.
A town divided. Justice and injustice in Macomb. The trial of Tom Robinson is the emotional and ethical center of the book. It's hard to read. You want things to go differently. You hope the truth will win. But Macomb is a town shaped by racism, so deeply embedded it infects everything, including the justice system. What's powerful is how Harper Lee doesn't make it black and white, no pun intended. The racism isn't just from the obvious villains, it's in the silence of neighbors, the polite smiles that hide deep prejudice, the refusal to challenge the way things are. And that makes it even more chilling. A town divided. Justice and injustice in Macomb. The trial of Tom Robinson is the emotional and ethical center of the book. It's hard to read. You want things to go differently. You hope the truth will win. But Macomb is a town shaped by racism, so deeply embedded it infects everything, including the justice system. What's powerful is how Harper Lee doesn't make it black and white, no pun intended. The racism isn't just from the obvious villains, it's in the silence of neighbors, the polite smiles that hide deep prejudice, the refusal to challenge the way things are. And that makes it even more chilling. Childhood, myths, and Boo Radley. While the trial is the novel's dramatic centerpiece, the subplot of Boo Radley brings a softer, symbolic layer. Boo is the mysterious neighbor, never seen, rumored to be dangerous. Scout and her brother Jem imagine wild stories about him, but in the end, Boo is not a monster. He's a quiet, gentle soul who simply wants to stay out of the cruelty of the world. This storyline mirrors the larger themes of the book, how we fear what we don't understand, how easy it is to misjudge people, and how sometimes the kindest souls are the most hidden. Boo ends up being one of the most moving characters in the novel, precisely because he says so little and does so much. Lessons in empathy and perspective. One of the most famous quotes from the book is this: "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." That's the beating heart of To Kill a Mockingbird. It's about empathy, about how the world doesn't get better through arguments, but through understanding, through listening, through the willingness to see someone else's life without judgment. This lesson is timeless. And in today's world, still struggling with division, misunderstanding, and injustice, it feels as necessary as ever. The writing style, simple yet deeply powerful. Harper Lee's writing is deceptively simple. It flows like conversation. It feels like someone remembering a chapter of their life with clarity and affection, but also regret. There's humor, especially in the childhood scenes. There's heartbreak too, and most of all, there's truth. You don't feel like you're reading a book. You feel like you're being told a story that matters. The pacing is slow in the beginning, but it builds intentionally. Every detail, every character, every interaction prepares you for the emotional weight of the trial and the bittersweet ending that follows. Criticism and modern reflections. No book is perfect, even the classics. Some readers today criticize To Kill a Mockingbird for focusing more on Atticus's perspective than on the experiences of the black characters, especially Tom Robinson. It's a fair point. Tom doesn't get much of a voice in a story that revolves around his fate. Still, many believe the novel's moral clarity and its critique of racial injustice remain powerful. It opened conversations in 1960 that many people had never dared to have. And for countless readers, it was the first time they saw racism, empathy, and justice presented in a way that was personal and unforgettable. Why this book still matters more than 60 years later. To Kill a Mockingbird still matters, maybe now more than ever. It reminds us that injustice isn't just in history books, that silence can be a kind of violence, that decency doesn't come from power or status, but from small, quiet choices. It challenges us to pay attention, to speak up, to teach the next generation, as Atticus does, that doing what's right often means standing alone. Final thoughts. A story that changes you. There are stories that entertain you. There are stories that teach you. And then there are stories that change you. To Kill a Mockingbird is one of those. You come away from it thinking about fairness, about childhood, about how we treat others, especially those different from us. You come away wondering who you are in the story. Are you Scout, just beginning to understand the world? Are you Atticus, standing for what's right, even when it's hard? Are you someone else entirely? Either way, this book asks you to reflect, and sometimes that's the beginning of real change.